Right, so I covered the lore of Bayonetta 2 in the previous video, and this video will cover literally everything else that I can think of. Unlockables, combat, and any other miscellaneous stuff that I forgot. Honestly, it's kind of a hodgepodge of content that's not really related to each other, but I've done my best to make it somewhat coherent, so let's get started. Let's talk first about the unlockable characters. Same as the first game, Bayonetta 2 has 2 unlockable characters, who are mostly the same as Bayonetta functionally, but with some key differences. However, unlike the first game, once you unlock a character, you can freely switch between them without having to start a new save file, and I think that's pretty awesome, by the way. Jeanne returns as the playable character, being unlocked once you beat the game on any difficulty. Doing this also unlocks her as a playable character in Tag Climax. She's mostly the same as she was in the first game, but I'll go through the details for those of you who don't know. First major difference between her and Bayonetta is that she takes 1.5 more damage. However, as payoff, Jeanne's Wicked Weave do 1.5 more damage. She can only trigger Witch Time using Moth Within, and her Witch Time combo modifier is double, as opposed to Bayo's 1.5. Magic earned by dodging is the same as in the first game, that is to say, she only earns magic by using Moth Within. This is still subject to the weird changes to earning magic that Bayonetta 2 introduced, which makes Jeanne a legitimately more challenging character to play as, regardless of the changes to the Moth Within window. A notable change to Jeanne that PG have done is give her 1.5 more Witch Time by Moth Within dodging. The first game doesn't do this, and honestly it's actually an interesting balancing act they've done between the 3 playable characters in this game. I checked this out briefly, and it actually makes her Witch Time duration on par with what you get from a perfect parry. In the second game, that is. So just another reason not to bother with that accessory, to be quite honest. This, in combination with her higher damaging Wicked Weaves, makes her closer to how the first game played. Of course, I only tested this with a training angel, so this doesn't really take into account the different Witch Time durations you can get depending on the attack dodged. Platinum Games have retained her unique dodging property, in that she can dodge infinitely, and also only cartwheels as opposed to Bayonetta, who rolls around on the ground like a filthy animal. Her moveset with her default guns is that of the first game and not the Love is Blue moveset, due to not getting any new guns in the sequel. Jeanne adds a centipede to her animal repertoire, which is terrible and so not Jeanne. In regards to Umbran Climax and her Wicked Weaves, Jeanne changes the colour scheme from Bayonetta's black and purple to white and pink. A nice little detail is that wherever Madama Butterfly appears in game, this is changed to Madama Styx instead. Again, as in the first game, Jeanne gets unique taunts with the different weapons.
You're fighting me! Not a fan of witches. Enough of your shit! I'll show you real strength. Oh, don't be scared. You motherfucker! Descend to darkness! You're fighting me! I'm going to make you suffer in this life and the next.
Combat changes aside, Jeanne still gets her own costumes, or couture bullets, which must be purchased separately from Bayonetta. I covered these in the post for the previous update, check it out if you want to see all the costumes. Her shooting pattern reveals a J and a diamond, as it was in the first game. Her shadow is that of Madama Styx. Little King Zero sadly does not return as a gimmick character in Bayonetta 2, but is replaced with Bayonetta's mum Rosa instead. You unlock her once you complete the game on 3rd Climax, and like Jeanne, doing so unlocks her in Tag Climax. She's not entirely dissimilar to Zero as she takes triple damage when compared to Bayonetta, but also does triple damage. Rosa only has one weapon she can use, Unforgiven, which uses the Scarborough Fair moveset. Rosa is basically a palette swap of Bayonetta, aside from the damage taken and damage dealt. She's got Bayonetta's 5 dodge limit and even shares the same voice actress. There are no alternate outfits for her, and she cannot use Umbran Climax, but uses Umbran armor instead. Rosa's demon pact is with Madama Khepri, which I'll just quickly mention is an ancient Egyptian goddess associated with rebirth, the sun, and the scarab. This is reflected in Rosa's animal forms, which are the tiger, hornet, falcon, and cobra. Hey, wait a second. What the hell, PG? Did you just miss an opportunity to link stuff together? Why did you pick a Hornet and not a Scarab? What the hell? What the hell? Rosa's shooting pattern reveals an R and a spade. Her contract with Madame Capri means that her Wicked Weaves take on a black and green motif. However, despite the concept art having a design for Capri, she does not appear in-game at all, and instead defaults to Madame Butterfly. By the way, remember this attack? This will turn Rosa into a baby Bayonetta. So Rosa. At least I still remember to give her the right shadow. Despite only having one weapon she can use, Rosa has a litany of taunts that can randomly appear.
What? Looking for more? You're not even a challenge. Where is your honor? Come to Mummy. Come out. I stand for the Umbra Witches, overseers of darkness.
Boulder is unlocked as a playable character in Tag Climax only when you beat the hidden Rosa and Boulder card in Tag Climax, as well as complete 6 verses. So if you die after beating the card before you finish your 6 verses, you have to go through the process of waiting for the card to randomly unlock again. He comes in 2 flavours, masked and unmasked. In terms of gameplay, he's pretty similar to the Witches. He's got a dodge which he can use infinitely, an equivalent of Witch Time called Lightspeed, and an animal form that's an even more overt reference to Akami than Bayonetta's was. His attack strings are very similar to Bayonetta's and make heavy use of magical AoE attacks as well as close range melee attacks using his glaive. Pretty much anything he does as an enemy is doable as a playable character. He's got an Umbran Climax modifier which turns him into the more fabulous plumed self. His attacks turn into larger glaives and auto summons, but the magical attacks are still the same. When dying in Tag Climax, arms appear to drag him up to Paradiso, or something like that. He won't appear in the death screen though. Now, because I try my hardest to be a completionist, here's all his terrible quotes with his terrible voice acting. He gets 3 long taunts, 3 short taunts, quotes for pure platinum ranks, and overall win quotes.
The power of a sage is infinite. Those who have taken from me will see that they are taken from. I will not be stopped. Face me. Light shines forever. This is your fate. Oh, were you there? Perhaps I should have held back.
You didn't think I'd miss a good fight, did you?
Radahn, in the same vein as Boulder, is unlocked when you encounter and beat his hidden card. Radahn has 2 costumes available, New York style from the first game and Japanese style from the sequel. Unfortunately, there's no Santa outfit, which really is a missed opportunity if you ask me. Radahn plays very differently to the rest of the playable characters. He's got no beast mode, so he's a bit more clunky and slow. He's got no dodge, but blocks attacks instead. A major difference is that he has no witch time equivalent, which can make it pretty hard to deal with enemies. Radahn fights using punches and kicks, and as I said in the Radahn video, whatever attacks you see him do as a boss you can perform when playing as him. Except for the death grab attack, that would be kinda broken. Pretty much everything can be charged. His Umbran Climax turns him into his demon form, and all his attacks take on that red, glowy effect. When Radahn is dying, he's encased in ice for some reason. According to the Bayonetta wiki, it's because this is referencing Dante's Inferno. The epic poem, that is, not the God of War-esque game. Like Boulder, he doesn't appear in the death screen and has a bunch of taunts and victory quotes.
Abandon all hope, ye who fight me. Let the games begin. I don't take requests. Let's have some fun. You try running.
I just really want to note that this long taunt is literally just variations of best character.
I'm buying this round.
By the way, yes, you can dodge offset with these characters, but at this point it just feels like Platinum Games are shoving dodge offset into all their games rather than considering whether it's actually appropriate. That, and there's really no incentive to do so for these characters, especially in a button mashing co-op mode like Tag Climax. It's honestly a real shame that neither Boulder or Radahn are playable in the main campaign, because it's clear that with a bit more time these two characters could have fitted into the gameplay. But mostly because you, i.e. I, want to see the men showing their nether regions in the same way as the ladies. Hello! I'll just quickly show off the demon summons for each character, even though there's less emphasis on them in this game. The Bayonetta wiki does list the Enochian for these, but when a lot of it is the same across the three characters, I sure as heck am not going to bother showing it off. Moving on from the demon summons, we can transition rather awkwardly to the torture attack summons. Enochian overall takes a much smaller role in this game for some reason, and it's clearly seen in the torture attacks where most summons are non-existent. However, I did say I'd show these off given that I didn't use torture attacks much in the main playthrough, so here they are for completion's sake. Next up, some attacks that I didn't show off due to the nature of a pure platinum run. A bunch of enemies in this game have grab attacks, all of which you can easily escape by triggering Unbound Climax. So I just want to quickly go over the touch controls in this game because they're pretty good actually. Bayonetta 2 was actually named Most Accessible Mainstream Game of 2014 by Able Gamers, a charity catering to disabled gamers, so I think I'd be doing the game a disservice by not covering this. There's no combos to speak of when using the touch controls, so in pure fighting context it's the same as using the Immortal Marionette. You tap enemies to fight them, swipe to dodge, etc, etc. You can't use this mode in Tag Climax, that would be pretty crazy. But you know what the real challenge of this game is that's using touch controls on non-stop infinite climax. This game doesn't have as many new unlockable weapons as the first game, but that doesn't make them any less interesting. The first you'll probably unlock is Shiraba / Angel Slayer and Scarborough Fair. These are actually tied to a mirror you unlock once you complete the game on second climax. Purchasing this mirror automatically unlocks the Bayonetta 1 weapons. Unlocking Scarborough Fair means that Bayonetta actually has access to two different movesets for the default guns. Shiraba and Angel Slayer are mostly the same as the first game, with the major change being that they nerfed, or fixed depending on how you look at it, the Sweeping Punch Wicked Weave in PKP, and also the Tetsuzanku Wicked Weave. Yeah, they kind of made it less fun, but whatever. The Umbran Climax Wicked Weaves are pretty similar to the boss mode Wicked Weaves from the first game, but with the obvious addition of Infernal Weave summons at the end of combo strings. Same can be said for Scarborough Fair. You can unlock the handguns by completing the game on any difficulty. For Bayonetta, these will still have the Love is Blue moveset, while Jeanne still has her All for One moveset. Nothing really changes with the handguns, they still strip your ability to summon Wicked Weaves, but you can Umbran Climax them, which changes the property of the fired bullets, and I believe the bullet climax with them is still pretty powerful. Next up, Chain Chomp. I basically already covered this in that one witch trial video, as well as the previous lore video, so I'm not going to do it again. I'm just mentioning it to highlight just how many unlockable weapons there are in this game, of which there are not very many. Radahn is probably the last weapon you unlock, given that you have to beat Radahn to get it. It's the same as it was in the first game, in that it's an amalgamation of all the angel weapons in the game. Bayo 2 also has demon weapons, so Radahn in this game also incorporates those. There really isn't much to say about it, it's just as OP as it was in the first game. Actually more so because they gave the weapon the same combo values as the enemy arms, and not capped at 10 points per hit like the weapon was in the first game, which means that this weapon is the sequel's Pillow Talk equivalent. The hardest difficulty in the game, you unlock this by beating the game on 3rd Climax. The major change in Bayo 2 was slightly controversial in that it retained witch time by dodging. The reasons for this are pretty obvious, most enemies cannot be attacked outside of witch time and have been designed around this feature. I am not going to get into the why fors and the impact this has on the game because that would turn an already long video into something that nobody would want to watch. But maybe I'll do it later in future, maybe, so watch out for that. Maybe. Anyway, Non-Stop mixes up enemy encounters mostly by adding more difficult enemies or more waves of enemies. By and large, the platinum combo thresholds are the same as 3rd Climax and lower, according to the Prima Guide. But the platinum time ranks are a little bit more generous. I'll actually make note of it here, but as far as I can tell, there is literally no difference between 1st, 2nd or 3rd Climax when it comes to platinum thresholds for time or combo. You know what the only difference is? It's damage taken, and it's kind of negligible in those 3 difficulties. If you want actual numbers, going from 1st Climax, the change in difficulty to 2nd Climax is that the damage taken is doubled. Same goes for 2nd to 3rd, so double from 2nd or quadrupling from 1st Climax. The jump from 3rd to Non-Stop is 2.5 more damage, which really explains a lot as to why playing casually on this difficulty can feel a little bit harsh and cheap. Other changes on this difficulty is that enemies now readily dodge out of Umbran Climax, making it more difficult to stun and damage them. Okay, I'll be honest, I only ever beat Bayonetta 2 on Infinite Climax 2 or 3 times maybe, so I won't comment on it too much, but I can just say I remember not having much fun with it. Next up, costumes. Bayo 2 has a crap load of these costumes. A lot of these feel like alternates that actually didn't fit into the first game, but by and large they're still great. I mean, apart from this, that's really terrible. As I mentioned earlier, there's a mirror that you buy that allows you to unlock weapons from Bayo 1. This mirror obviously has a selection of outfits from the first game. Also notable is the Witch Apprentice outfit, which for some reason completely freezes all facial animation into the creepiest dead-eyed stare.
John, I'm on my way. Just behave yourself for a bit longer.
These costumes will still change your appearance in cutscenes, but for some reason the Umbran Elegances don't. I already covered the costumes in the previous update, so I won't be showing them off here. Instead, my goal here is to talk about the gameplay changes the Nintendo costumes introduce. All except one of these outfits come in Bayo 1 and Bayo 2 flavours, that is to say, you can have Bayo 1 hairdo or Bayo 2 hairdo. I'm gonna just say this right now, I don't really give a crap about Nintendo stuff, so I don't really know what I'm talking about here. First off, the Princess Peach / Princess Daisy outfit. Wearing these outfits will change your Wicked Weaves to Bowser's fists or feet, but unfortunately will not replace Madame Butterfly appearances with Bowser. It also changes halos to coins, and depending on whether you play as Bayonetta or Jeanne, you'll get a different sound effect when you pick up the coins. The difference between these two outfits is the colour and the charm attached to the hip. Peach has Mario and Daisy has Luigi. The Zelda outfit is hands down the best alternate outfit, as changing to this outfit gives you access to the moon of Mahakala without having to equip it in an accessory slot. This means that you can have the effect of up to 3 accessories at once. Let's not count the Immortal Marionette because who seriously uses that? But that would make it 4. Similar to the Peach and Daisy outfit, this costume changes halos into rupees, and depending on whether you play as Bayonetta or Jeanne, the sound effects will change when you pick up rupees. In addition to changing the halo pickup sound, this outfit also changes the sound of opening a chest, assembling a broken witch heart, and opening a locked door. When using Shuraba with this outfit, the sword changes into the Master Sword, changing the wicked weaves and coloration of the effects. There's also some gameplay changes that this outfit adds in the port of the original Bayonetta, but I'm not going to cover that right now. Okay, completely. I do not know anything about Metroid, so I'll just cover the basics here. The most obvious change to Metroid outfit effects is Panther Within. It changes to the Morph Ball. Double jumping replaces the butterfly wings with a lightly damaging screw attack, and jumping while in Panther mode will drop some lightly damaging bombs. You know, sometimes I think this could maybe be incorporated into some cool combos, but nope. The combo scene died years ago. Using the shoot button will change the animation to use the arm blaster on the right arm, but it still doesn't fix the fact that Charge Bullet is god awful. Once again, the sound effects of Bayo and Jeanne are slightly different, being taken from different games. A funny aside, when these costumes were announced, it was said that they were going to be available in both Bayonetta 1 and 2, and a particular detail about the Metroid outfit is the ability to raise and lower the visor whenever you want. They actually kind of made a big deal about it too, I think. This functionality is present in the first game, but is completely missing in the second. Okay, I say completely, but it's still kind of there. During fights, the visor will lower, but for the purposes of cutscenes and outside of combat, the visor will be up. But you can't change it manually, which is just really false advertising. Finally, the single Nintendo costume unique to Bayonetta 2 is the Star Fox costume. This costume will probably make you question your sexuality. Again, I have no flipping clue about Star Fox and I don't give a shit, so I'll just regurgitate what's on the internet. When Love is Blue is equipped, or All for One for Jeanne, the guns will change to miniature R-Wings, the aircraft that appear in the Star Fox series. The guns have a cute detail in that their charms are of the 4 main characters. Fox McCloud on the right, Falco Lombardi on the left, Peppy Hare on the right heel, and Slippy Toad on the left heel. These are all random names I don't give a shit about. The R-Wings will also change your bullets and charge bullet sound effects and lock-on button. The outfit makes some major changes to certain chapters, that being the prologue and the final chapter. Wearing this costume will change the aircraft in the prologue into R-Wings, and in chapter 16, instead of controlling a jet, you control an R-Wing. Again, I don't care. Once again, Jeanne gets different sound effects with this costume as opposed to Bayonetta, because according to Kamiya, she's an old school gamer or something.
No sweat, Fox. I mean, Cereza.
So, Bayonetta originally only had English voice acting, but in Bayonetta 2 and the Bayonetta 1 port, there is now Japanese voice acting. This is great, except I don't think it's very good. But I figured I had to include it anyway. And And that, my dear viewers, is all that I need to cover Bayonetta 2. I am done with this piece of crap. Sorry, this wonderful game that I don't like. It's been a wild ride, and I just want to thank everyone that's helped make this hot mess. Namely all the podcast guests, Dosh Master Cash, General Beatrix, Flicky, Morning Lord, Ben Ruiz, and Sarian Dash. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you to the poor souls who agreed to tag Climax with me, Alps, Wolfie Cactus, and Saurian Dash again. A big thank you to everyone who contributed fan art, Camel Pimp, Rum Russia, and Mike Cobb. You guys did fan art and I love you guys. And of course, Toddy for being an awesome co-commentator and for continuing my trend of co-commentators who don't know anything about the game and that people will hate on for no reason.
The left eye must be perfect in her dark.
And you, the viewer, because this is becoming inescapably cliched and corny. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.